tips for training.
First, figure out how much water you're going to add to the device. If you are a healthy adult under the age of 60, you will use 18 to 20 milliliters. If you lose your cup, just keep in mind that a tablespoon is 15 milliliters and a teaspoon is 5 milliliters. If your health is not too great, use 13 to 15 milliliters of water. Next, the training time. Again, healthy adults, you are going to start off training about 8 to 10 minutes. If you're over 60, or if you are a little bit fragile, you're going to start off training 6 to 10 minutes. Next, determine your respiratory cycle. The respiratory cycle is a total amount of time for one complete inhalation and one complete exhalation. Your inhalation will always be somewhere between 2 and 3 seconds. Your exhalation will start off somewhere between 4 and 9 seconds and will gradually increase. So your total respiratory cycle will start off somewhere between 6 and 11 seconds. Find a respiratory cycle that's comfortable. A healthy adult will probably have a respiratory cycle of 6 to 12 seconds. Anyone over 60 or with health problems probably be in the range of 6 to 10 seconds. But during the first couple sessions, you're going to find a cycle time that's comfortable. Once you find a comfortable breathing rate, you're going to gradually increase your exhalation time around a second per week. That's for most people. If, however, you are fragile or over 60, you might only increase 1 second every couple weeks, or maybe even only 1 second a month. So the more vulnerable you are, the more gradually you want to increase your exhalation time. So if you're 80 years old, you have a respiratory cycle of 7 seconds. If you stay at 7 seconds for a month, that's fine. And then after a month, when you feel that 7 seconds is really easy, then go on to 8 seconds. On the other hand, if you are young and healthy and your respiratory cycle is 12 seconds, you can increase it even up to 2 seconds per week. Next, figure out the time of day that you're going to train. The best time of day is when you are not used to eating and you can do your training without being disturbed. Eventually, you will end up training at night. But in the beginning, for the first few months, just train at whatever time works the best. Also, don't eat an hour or so before or an hour or so after you do your breathing training. If you slip up and accidentally eat before, you can still do your training, but as a rule, try not to eat before or after. Next, find a good position. You want to train in a comfortable position, so a reclining chair would be one way to train. You could also train on your back. You don't have to sit up straight, that's the point. You want to be in a comfortable position. And you also need to keep the cup straight up, which means if you are going to train on your back, you just set the cup on your chest, keeping it straight up, and then bend the hose so that you can blow into the tube. Next, when you start each session, there's going to be a couple minutes where you just have to warm up. Let's say 12 seconds is the total amount of time that one cycle is going to take, one inhalation and one exhalation. It could be that for the first couple minutes, you're not even close to 12. But after a while, you get warmed up. This happens to most people with every training. When you're first starting, you're not warmed up yet. So here's what you do. In the beginning, you try to relax your brain as much as possible. Don't worry about counting. Don't worry about the stopwatch yet. Just try to relax and get in a rhythm. The more you relax, the slower you will be able to breathe. After a couple minutes, or maybe a few minutes, you'll find that you are breathing in a rhythm. Now you need to keep track of how long your cycle is. And that's because you don't want to go longer than, in this case, the 12 seconds. The purpose of the stopwatch, or the second hand on the clock, is so that you don't breathe too long. The purpose of the relaxation is if you're not breathing long enough in order to get warmed up. Okay, more about the exhale. Let's say you are exhaling 10 seconds. The first 7 or 8 seconds will be very slow and your belly is going to be relaxed. The last 2 or 3 seconds is when you bring your belly towards your spine. This is a very precise movement, and it really should be done in a precise way. As you are bringing your belly towards your spine, it should not feel like you're doing a sit-up, and it should not feel like you are having a bowel movement. It should not feel like that pushing movement of a bowel movement. Instead, you are going to sort of lift your belly as if you are pulling it away from your belt. And if you are not sure if you're doing it right, what you could do is pretend like you have to urinate and have to hold it. During that last 2 or 3 seconds as you exhale, stop the flow of urine as you bring your belly towards your spine. Then you are probably doing it right. The same muscles in the pelvic floor that stop the flow of urine are what make you exhale properly. Now here's a point about the inhalation. A lot of questions come up about this. When you inhale, you do want to take a full breath into your belly, not your chest. Be sure you're not inhaling into your chest. On the other hand, you don't want to inhale forcefully. So you want to bring a full breath into your belly, but don't force it. That puts a lot of strain on the esophagus. So basically, you're going to do an inhalation for 2 to 3 seconds into your belly, and then you're going to do a slow exhalation. And with time, your exhalation will get slower and slower. Your inhalation will always stay the same. Your training time, the total amount of minutes that you practice with the Frolov device, that you can increase gradually, about 1 minute per week max. You can go faster, but this is just my suggestion. I also suggest that you increase your cycle time. In other words, increase the amount of time that you exhale 1 second per week max. I found that people get better results in the long run when they increase their exhalation time and their training time slowly. If after 1 week you don't feel like you've mastered the exhalation time and the training time that you're already doing, then don't increase it. There will be a certain percentage of people whose health is bad enough that they can't get in a rhythm, that just breathing in and out of the tube either makes you short of breath or lightheaded. So there's certain things you can do to sort of soften the load of the exercises. The first thing you could try, instead of breathing in and out of your mouth, breathe into your nose and then just blow out of your mouth. And if you have COPD, you'll probably have to do this for a few weeks anyways. Another thing you can do is use less water. Instead of 15, go all the way down to 12 if you have to. Less water will make the exercise less intense. What's more likely, if you're having a lot of problems, is that you're going to have to take breaks in between your breaths. So what that means is that you might exhale 1 time, and then you might have to wait 10 seconds to exhale again. So in other words, you're kind of recovering in between your exhaling. If that's the case, you might do it twice a day for a while until you can get into a rhythm, and then go back to once a day.
Thank you for listening. For more information on the Frolov respiratory training device, go to healthbyyourself.net.